Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, what am I doing there?
You can just smile in the camera. Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. In light of recent events, I thought sharing a little bit of positivity and joy around diversity was in order. So today I brought my boyfriend, Gurj, to the party, and today we're going to share what we love about each other's culture and each other's heritage with you. Right, if you're watching for the very first time, we'll do a little bit of an intro about our heritage so you know where we come from and how we grew up. I am Sandy, I am German. I grew up in Germany and I matured in the UK. My parents are both German, I am quarter Polish, but I guess most of my upbringing was very German and I have a little bit of UK, I guess, beliefs in me as well.
I am Gurj. I was born and raised in London, but my heritage is Punjabi, so North India. My dad was born in Kenya and my mum was born in Punjab.
Okay, so basically our game, we have a game, is that we wrote down some things that we, like I said, love about each other's culture, and that we learned in the time that we've been together, and I guess that we learned how to appreciate about each other.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see how that goes. Okay. So, oh yeah, you don't know this one, I think. So I love your sense of community. I assume this is because you grew up where you always had to stick together as ethnic minorities, because you told me this once.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm always like, I mean, you guys maybe know this, I'm always happy alone. I'm always happy just being just me and maybe one friend. And what I learned from Gurj is that like having a strong friendship group community supporting you is important.
Yeah, coming from an ethnic minority background, when our parents came here, they were in communities, right? So they kind of had their friends and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of rubbed off into this generation as well.
Yeah. In
terms of trying to not stick together, because it's not exactly segregation. You kind of build together, right? So yeah, it is important. Community is important.
So Gurj has like 50 really close friends and I have 2.
Cool, will you pick?
Oh yes, wait. I'll take the little one.
So I love how dedicated you are to your passions and how hard you work in making those dreams come true. Aww. So I think this is quite important, something I've learned since being with Sandy. She's always been really passionate, always has great ideas. Her mum can attest to that. Yes. And I think that's been quite inspiring actually, knowing you and being able to be in a space with someone that's so like dedicated to that dream and driving towards it. And
I think, I mean, thank you. And also I do think that is a German thing, like growing up. I mean, not only Germans do that, obviously millions of people around the world do, but it's something that was taught to me, like when you believe in something and when you have a passion, you have to almost give everything, which I'm trying. Okay, so I appreciate how tough you are with me.
Wow.
You tell me that there is a Punjabi saying which goes, chin up, life goes on, but obviously in Punjabi. Yeah. What is it?
Jardi Kala. But it's basically you live in an eternal optimism.
That's where you're meant, like, that's what you tell someone, right?
Yeah, you should live in an eternal optimism, regardless of if you're like going through a tough time.
Yes. Say it again.
Jardi Kala.
Jardi Kala.
Jardi
Kala.
Nice.
Comment below if you speak Punjabi and tell me what you think, or maybe not. Actually, maybe not. We will see.
Okay, this is a good one actually. I learned about veganism from you and your family. So I'll tell you.
I know which story is going to come.
I'll tell you guys a story. When I went to Germany for Christmas with Sandy's family in December, so Sandy's sister is vegan, and so we got vegan duck, which tasted nothing like duck. Bless her dad, who obviously likes meat. So we were kind of kicking each other under the table as well. It was actually awesome seeing. It's almost quite progressive as a culture and family life in terms of appreciating people, but also the fact that you kind of cater to them instead of them, you doing your Christmas and then having like a vegan meal on the side. Yeah. So it's quite cool that everyone went that way.
I mean, can you guys believe this? We had a vegan Christmas. But actually, now that I think about it, this is quite an interesting thing about growing up in Germany the time I grew up, because a lot of traditional views about German people is that we just like meat.
Yeah.
And that's actually so not true. Like Germans are so open to trying different foods and, so liberal and almost kind of gone so far into the kind of, trying and testing food that being vegan is probably so normal in Germany now. And my sister has told me that after traveling around the world, Germany is the most vegan friendly country in the world.
Yeah, I find that quite interesting because I think you're right with what you said about, a lot of people will assume that Germans
just eat
sausages and like a lot of meat or a meat heavy diet, right?
Yeah.
But like I mentioned earlier, it's quite a progressive culture that's going on in Germany, so very, very cool.
Right. So this is obviously the big one, yeah? I learned from you about Sikhism. So I just wrote some notes. Basically, you guys haven't seen our India videos, but subscribe now for the India videos coming soon. So Gurj is a Sikh.
Yep.
That's how I can say this, right? That you follow the Sikh belief system.
Yep.
And I didn't know what that was, before I really met Gurj and before I went to India with him. So we went to Punjab and we filmed lots of lovely videos about us visiting some of the most holy places for Sikhs in the world, which are in Punjab, in India. And when I grew up, I was kind of taught that any religion or belief system is scary for some obvious reasons, for some less obvious reasons, but we all know that some, of the most horrible, I guess, disputes in the world have happened because of religious beliefs. So I just was raised by my parents telling me, no, don't. It's just going to get you into trouble. And now that I'm 33 almost, for the first time in my life, I learned about a belief system, which is yours, that I think I could potentially get on board with at some point, because, and again, we're not going to go into a detailed lecture about what Sikhism is, but for me personally, it just spoke to me and it had a lot of values that I didn't know a religion or a belief system could have, like we're all the same. So in Sikhism, everybody is welcome, whatever belief system you believe in, which is crazy. In Sikhism, you're not allowed to convert anyone, and there's a million other wonderful things, which I will tell you more about in our India vlogs, and you'll see me discovering them when we go. But yeah, I learned from you that believing in a higher power isn't always scary.
Oh, I totally agree. I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it kind of ties in nicely to the last one actually. I loved your openness to other cultures.
Aww.
So the story in India actually, Sandy was just like completely on board with the culture, really, really trying to understand, obviously the culture that I'm from, so my background, but also, the wider issue about what kind of Indian culture is all about, what Punjabi culture is about. And I've seen that obviously with any travel she does and all the videos that you guys watch as well. She gets on board with that, but also not just a case of trying to showcase the best things, but also trying to understand it for herself.
And again, to go back, like now that you say this, I'm very proud of being like that. I love being like that.
Of course.
And this is also a German thing. Like now that you were talking about it, I realized, and this is because of German history. So obviously we're going back another generation before I was born. Germany was a very different place, as we all know, and openness to other cultures was not a thing officially at all. So obviously when my parents were born, they looked at what happened in the past and they were like, we don't want to be like this. So now in my parents' generation, my generation, openness to other cultures is one of the most important values. Okay, yes.
Alright, here we go. Feeling embarrassed already.
So no. You taught me about the importance of checking in with and appreciating your parents. and I'm laughing because I'm thinking, are you guys now wondering, well, Sandy, don't you like your parents? Have you never checked in with your parents? That is not true, but it's about the idea of independence. So in Germany, I was taught to be incredibly independent from the moment I was able to walk, And so when I moved to England, I was like, okay, bye parents, I'm in England now, I'm independent, see ya. And my parents are the same, they're like, okay, bye, good luck in your life. And it doesn't mean that we don't love each other, and it doesn't mean that we love each other less than any other family, but it's just some sort of value that, where my parents are now glad that we're gone. They're like building some sort of gym in my sister's bedroom, and in my old bedroom now it's like some sort of Airbnb guest bedroom basically. So we were fine, but when I met Gurj, I learned to just kind of go beyond the independence part and actually think about, okay, so My parents have done quite a lot of things for me, and even though I don't feel like I need to, and even though they don't feel like they want to, I should still just check in with them a little bit more often than when I really need something. And that just, I guess, made us a little bit closer. But I can't check in with them too often because they want to go on holiday. Yeah, they don't want me to calling them all day. Okay.
Yeah, and it ties in. It ties in with the first one that we spoke about, was community, right?
Yeah.
So hence why it's born out of community where you're generally quite close to your parents.
Yeah.
Like I still went to and lived out in university. I went and lived in New York, and I live out. I don't live with my parents. So there is a huge independence there. But you're just generally, through your culture and through that community feel, you're always in touch with your parents. Like, they don't live too far off, and obviously home cooked food, so it's always a good reason to go home. It's similar to the vegan theme, but Germans love Christmas and really enjoy hosting for the occasion.
We do.
That time I mentioned it again in terms of when I went around to Germany for Christmas with Sandy's family. They actually moved their Christmas day for me, which was actually so sweet. And then I think it was like the 27th or the 28th.
Yeah, something like it was like 3 days later.
Yeah, that we did Christmas at Sandy's, and it's such a it's a well drilled affair, I would say. I think the traditional opening presents. So Sandy's family sit around the Christmas tree, and then I think you have like dice.
Yes.
And then you have to pull certain numbers, and if you do, then you get to open your present. If you don't, then you kind of pass it on to the next person. But that was super cool because it wasn't just a good kind of bonding session, wasn't it, with your family over like a great holiday period.
Yeah.
And just to have fun with it. So yes, so if you ever go to Germany, make sure you're there for Christmas, and obviously the Christmas markets as well, which are incredible. Yes,
100%. Like a stereotype that is just also very true. Like, we love Christmas, we do everything. We even moved Christmas Day for a visitor. This is the first time my parents met him, and they just moved the whole fest, basically, just for him. I love how proud you and your family are of Punjabi food and food culture.
Oh, it's incredible.
We could make an entire different video about Punjabi food culture. When we go to India, there will be me trying a lot of Punjabi food, so stay tuned for that. But I guess I love seeing how proud you are of it. Whether we have a barbecue, you'll always pull out some Indian food alongside as well. So what, you don't want to have any Indian food? You just want barbecue food? Every time I go to see your parents, there's always Punjabi food. You cook Punjabi food at home. They talk about Punjabi food all the time. They think Punjabi food is the best food in the world, which it might be to a lot of people. And it's just really nice to see because, again, like growing up, German food was never a thing that we even thought about. We just kind of ate German food and we're like, oh yeah, that's my food. But Italian food is so nice, or Indian food is so nice. And where I don't think that German food could compete with Italian or Indian food, it still inspired me to just go on the hunt and just be a bit more prouder of what Germany has to offer and learn a little bit more about the German food culture.
So this is a good one. I feel like from you I've learned how to savor the moment and live more in the present.
That's nice.
Because of like all the stuff you do with traveling and stuff, and even when we go to travel or when we go to restaurants, Sandy's really about living in that moment and really appreciating some of the small things that happen.
This is my mum. So I have this to thank for my mum. My mum used to teach me, go out there, live in the moment, travel, learn different languages because I couldn't, basically. So mum, if you're watching, hey.
Shout out to her.
Shout out. But yeah, I specifically remember her teaching me and my sister every day. Very
cool.
So yeah. Hi mum. Okay, so this is something that I learned from you, but I don't know if that's just you or if that has anything to do with your culture. I learned from you how to save money and how to look after my finances.
Definitely a cultural thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. But I also work in finance, right? So I kind of have a bit of added bias. But yeah, in terms of a cultural perspective, we're always taught to think a bit more longer term, really take care of your finances, still have your fun, but also save along that kind of journey for, I guess, a rainy day or just prospering later in life, right? So you don't have to worry about a retirement plan or any of that jazz. But
and I do think this is probably not very German of me not to be good with my finances. I actually do think that a lot of Germans supposed to be good with their finances, but I just kind of somehow missed that boat. So I was
no, but I don't think you're bad at it. But I think it's a case of being more savvy at it, right? you've taught me about appreciating the smaller things in life. So the reason I say this is, and I think it might be a German thing, in the sense that I've probably always been the kind of person that is always about big gestures in some ways, and you know, going somewhere really fancy. But Sandy's kind of like quite content with just going for pizza at Franco Manca and getting a glass of wine.
Yes.
And just really appreciating the small things, and I think that's such an admirable kind of, you know, trait to have, because I think when you go the opposite way, it's quite easy to kind of get bogged down with but why are other people looking at it? Especially with social media, right? You see people living like the best, most incredible lives, which are not real. So that's been quite cool, and I think in lockdown, especially in lockdown, it's helped a lot to appreciate the small things as well. So and on that note, I think that's quite a nice way to finish that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about appreciating the small things, but I'm actually proud of that.
Yeah,
I genuinely don't know if that's a German thing or where it comes from, but maybe it's just a me thing, you know, and that is also fine. But that doesn't mean that I don't ever want to go to like fancy restaurants.
Oh no, I know that as well. I do know that.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this inspired you. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that we got across what we want to get across, which is that different cultures are awesome, okay?
Absolutely.
And being different is wonderful, and we can learn so much from each other, not just the two of us. You can learn something from your neighbor and your colleague and your friend that you don't even know just yet, but you'll meet tomorrow on the street. If you want Gertz to be in another video, do let me know below. If you don't want him to be back, you can also let me know below. And I will see you very soon. Bye bye.